Hi there, welcome to lesson 2 for our level 2 video series. We're learning how to drum now with using rudiments. And rudiments is a very important part of all drumming. No drum beat, no drum fill, nothing you can do on the drums is made without rudiments. Rudiments is literally in everything. And what's a rudiment? Rudiments is just a pattern that you play, whether you use your hands, whether you use your feet, or a combination of both. Rudiments are something that's involved in every single thing. And it's something we use, whether it's to warm up with or to practice with, to try and build a connection from our brain to our hands. We're trying to make programming in our brain to commit to patterns that you'll be able to play. And so you'll be able to automatically be able to play certain patterns whenever you need them, from the moment you think about it to instantly being able to do it right on the drums. They're used literally all the time. And so rudiments is a very essential part of your practice. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through with you some intermediate kind of difficulty of some rudiments that we'll play. To get started, what we need is, of course, we need some drumsticks. That is the best case scenario. And you can use a practice pad like I have right here. And I like to take my practice pad and I just put it right over top of my snare drum. Some people like to use an actual drum itself. I've seen people play on a pillow using their drumsticks. And worst case, if you don't have access to drumsticks or anything, you can practice on your lap, you can practice hitting on a table, or whatever it is. You're practicing the hand motion and the programming in your brain so to use that. But best case scenario, you're going to have some drumsticks in your hand to be able to play that. So here's a couple tips for success and all the exercises that we do today. Number one is really important to stay nice and relaxed as you play. And not just relaxed from our body point of mind, but especially our hands, our wrists, and our arm. We don't want to be playing like we're bashing something, like we're angry, like this. And because that's going to take a lot of force. And we want to stay as relaxed as possible because we're going to use the drumstick to our advantage. We're going to let the bounce of the drumstick do a lot of the work for us. So when we stay nice and relaxed, the drumstick is going to naturally want to bounce. Do you see that? How it naturally wants to bounce right off of there when I'm staying nice and relaxed. The motion that that we use for our hand technique is kind of a wrist up motion. Imagine like I tie a string around my wrist and I pull up my wrist and it's a whipping motion, up and whip. That's kind of how we get the natural motion for playing the drum. We're not bending at the elbows. We're using a little bit of a combination of wrists and hands. Now remember as well to have good hand technique when you do all the rudiments. You want to practice like with good technique at all times and make sure you have that in there. So that means holding the drumstick properly, making sure you find that fulcrum point. And remember the fulcrum is the point that is the bounciest of the drumsticks. So make sure you have that fulcrum part. As well, it's important to know that if you are really working hard on rudiments and your goal is to be as fast as you possibly can, which is nice and impressive, but make sure though your technique is the number one priority. Speed will come naturally, but if you're really focused on speed and going as fast as you can, we often notice that our muscles start to tense up, our hands starts to tense up, and our whole body starts to tense up when we start flexing some muscles, and we lose a lot of that rebound control and relaxiveness as we play. So really please focus on technique first and the speed will come naturally. Okay, so that's the right mindset to do when you're playing a lot of these rudiments, is play with technique first. You will be playing some types of exercises using your right hand first and sometimes our left hand. I know lots of us are always going to be saying that one of our sides is stronger than the other. For example, for me, I'm right-handed, so my left hand is usually my weaker one. And I notice when I'm playing lots of exercises and doing lots of rudiments or even playing the drums, where I'm using my weak hand, my left hand, it always feels like it's not as good as my right hand is. And it's frustrating, it's mad, it's like, why can't I get my left hand to do exactly what it is? And well, if you really think about it, when we're playing a drum beat, if I'm playing on the hi-hat with my right hand, I'm getting 4 times as much practice. If I'm doing a regular rock beat, my right hand's hitting the hi-hat 4 times, and my left hand is hitting the snare drum only once. So chances are, when I'm doing lots of my daily tasks and playing the drums, my right hand gets tons more practice. So it's very often that one side will feel a little bit more weaker or not as good as the other side is. The way to fix that is to practice more using the weak hand first. Play it first, play it more often, and practice it a lot. And it will start to catch yourself up. You can also start to do daily tasks with your left hand. For example, brushing your teeth or picking something up or trying to grab and maneuver things using your left hand and your weak hand a bit more often. And that's going to definitely make a big difference a long way down the line. Now, as we play these exercises today, it's important to know that you're going to need to use a metronome. Your metronome is going to be your guide. You're not just going to freehand it. You're not going to just pick a speed to follow. A metronome is used so that we work on our timing and our internal timing as well as practicing our rudiments. We want to make sure we practice to a speed and consistently always work at staying in time. Really, really important to do that. And our metronome is our tool that we'll use in order to do that. Remember, you can start slow with a time and gradually work your way to working a little bit faster. You'll notice that all the exercises will have a little beats per minute chart at the top written on our exercise sheet. And they're meant to be a guide to follow. So you can pick a speed, and then once you feel like you're really confident and comfortable at speed, you can progress and move on to a little bit of a faster speed. Okay, so really make sure that you're using a metronome to help guide you for today. It's recommended that when we play these rudiments, you don't just play it for like only 10 seconds and say, okay, I'm good. You want to practice it for quite a long time. It's going to work on your endurance, but as well as brilliant at programming a little bit faster. I recommend you play each of these rudiments about 1 or 2 minutes. You could also say, I'm going to play this rudiment pattern a certain number of times, like 20, for example. I'm just picking a number out of the air. But you would pick a time that would kind of generally last about 1 to 2 minutes or so at a certain speed. There are lots of great apps that are out there, or timer apps that you can use to help do this. And even some of the metronome apps that you can get have a timer built into them where they'll turn off after a certain part. Make it a good routine in your practice to always play certain rudiments for a certain number of time, and you're going to get better dramatically. I make all my students do a lot of rudiments as part of their routine each and every practice. And it's something you can do in the background work that's really going to help develop your speed and your technique. Now, before we get started on our first exercise, there's a few key terms that you need to know. Number one is we want to make sure that we are counting correctly. All of these exercises that you see here are going to be played in eighth notes. So just as the screen dictates right here, here are what some eighth notes look like. We did this in the rhythm and counting section, but remember that that small little tail or the bridge over top represents an eighth note. It's counted as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. It's represented that way and it's counted that way. So all of these exercises are made to be counted in eighth note time. Okay, so be aware of that. It's always, all of these are in eighth note time. As well, there's going to be something new before we get to some of these exercises. There's some new terminology that you're going to need to know. There is something called an accent and a ghost. Okay, not Ghostbusters, who you're going to call, but an accent and a ghost note that you play. An accent is a loud note, and you can see it's an accent with a little alligator mouth on the top. It's like a big little arc or a little sideways backward C, a little arrow pointing. That indicates an accent note. An accent note is like an exclamation point. Exclamation point, can't even say it, exclamation point on the end of something. It's like a statement being made. So it's generally played as a louder note. Whereas a ghost note is played quieter than normal, very, very quiet. So an example of an accent note would be this. Okay, versus a ghost note. Okay, so when you put them together, see, I'm going to play a little rudiment and see if you can pick out which are the accents and which are the ghost notes. So I played kind of a nice little drum fill there, but you can tell the loud notes were accents and the quiet notes were ghost notes. Okay, so that's something you're going to need to know for an exercise later on. But that being said, let's get started. Now, if you don't have your drum sheet music here ready to go, make sure that you go and print it. It's all ready to go for you, and you have it something to follow with. At the top, make sure you notice the times, the beats per minute at the top of your screen, at the top of the paper, pardon me. And you'll notice that it has some beats per minute listed at the top. They're just my recommendations. I suggest to start slow, practice it. If you were able to play it quite a few times, about a minute straight, without any tension or any soreness or any loss of some technique or form, then you're ready to move on to the next level. Okay, as soon as we hit that point where our muscles and our hands start to tighten up, or we lose form, or we lose timing, we're not able to perform very well, then you know you've gone too far. You want to go just before that. You want to be successful during these exercises. That's really important. Okay, so make sure you have that. And also to make sure not to make a huge jump from 1 beat per minute to a massive jump later on to later. So today, I'm going to be practicing and showing you these exercises at 2 different speeds. 60 beats per minute and 120 beats per minute. It's not recommended to go from 60 beats per minute and then just jump instantly to 120 and see if you can do it. That's not how it should work. You want to slowly, progressively build up your speed and technique. So on your paper, you're welcome to take a pencil or a pen and scratch off or give a check mark to those beats per minute that you have successfully accomplished. Today, I'm going to show you 7 different exercises, 7 different exercises that you can use and you can add to your inventory of rudiments that you can practice and play with. And I find these very useful around the kit to use for drum fills and so on. Okay, so let's get started with our first exercise. Our first exercise is called the 4, 4, 3, 3, and 2. Okay, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2. And how it works is we have on your paper, you'll see it's a part A, a part B, and a part C. And part A is our first part. It's a different variation of our exercises. Our part A exercise is using both hands together. It's called a unison stroke. You're hitting them both together. It looks like this. Okay? Making sure you have as close as an even sound as possible. Okay? It's called a unison stroke. Now, what you're going to do in this exercise, it's called 4, 4, 3, 3, 2. You're going to hit 4 unison strokes in a row, then another 4, then 3, then 3, then 2, just as the name explains. But what you'll notice is in sheet music, you'll see that accent note. So the accent note is meant to play louder. So the first hit of each of these groupings is an accent. So for example, our first 4 is going to be an accented on the first one. So it sounds like this. Okay, so try that again. So notice it was 4 hits, but the first one was a lot louder. Now we do 4 again, then 3, then 3, then 2. Okay, so all together, it's going to sound like this. It start with a 4, 4, 3, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. All right, and you'll notice that sometimes it's easy to connect with some of these patterns. They mathematically work out to 4/4 time, which is what a lot of us will dance to and easily move to, especially for rock and pop music. But once you get that kind of rhythm or pattern in your head and in your soul, you're going to easily connect with these rudiments and it's going to be a little easier to play. So let's play our part A of exercise 1, 4-4-3-3-2 strokes at 60 beats per minute. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now I played this little pattern about 4 times, and that's what I'm going to do for the video. I would usually play about a minute long. I would set a timer, but for the purpose of this exercises and the video, I'm just going to demonstrate it, playing the rudiment about 4 times each time. Now, I'll progress it to level B. So now the part A was unison strokes, playing at the same time. Now part B is I'm going to play singles, okay? Right, left, right, left. Part B, pardon me, is right hand first. Part C, which I'll play in a second, is going to be right-handed singles, okay? So right hand first. Part C is left hand first, okay? So we're going to do the same pattern, 4-4-3-3-2, but I'm going to be using single-handed. So I do 4 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Okay? So make sure you're able to do that pattern. Let's try it at 60 beats per minute, part B. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's play 60 beats per minute of part C now. Part C is the exact same thing, but left hand lead, which means I'm hitting the drum with my left hand first. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So I've done 60 beats per minute of part A, part B, and part C. Now let's try it at 120 beats per minute, significantly faster. Again, this is just a demonstration. We're not going to jump too far fast, but you can of course adjust your speed as you need to. Technique is really important. Really make sure those accent notes really stick out. So let's do part A of the 4-4-3-3-2 exercise at 120 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. You notice how much it feels like a groove once you start playing a little bit faster. Let's do part B now of the 4-4-3-3-2 at 120 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now part C of the 4-4-3-3-2. Left hand goes first. Left hand lead. One, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's a great exercise. The 4-4-3-3-2 is a great exercise to practice your dynamics, going loud, going quiet, and adding some exclamation points to a lot of your playing. Let's move on to exercise number 2, which is the blast singles rudiment. A single is, of course, a right, left, or left, right. We did this in level 1, and it's a pretty easy one to know. But a blast rudiment, it just means that we're going to start slow and then we're going to double the speed. Okay, so you'll notice your exercises on part A is going to be with 8th notes, and then all of a sudden there's some 16th notes. So let's look at part A. The first bar of part A is with 4 8th notes. Right, left. And then all of a sudden there's some 16th notes. 16 notes played double as fast. So all together, it's right, left, right. Okay, so it's double as fast. 1 e and a 2 e and a 1 and 2 and 1 e and a 2 e and a. Okay, now part A and part A on the top line, the first bar and the second bar exactly the same. The third bar, it's all 8th notes, and the fourth bar is all 16th notes. So all together, it's going to be sounding like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 e and a 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 e and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 e and a 2 e and a 3 e and a 4 e and a. Okay, so make sure you're playing those parts perfectly. Okay, now let's move on. Let's play this at 60 beats per minute. Part A of the blast singles rudiment. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now let's move on to part B of that exercise at 60 beats per minute. And it's just now the same thing, but left hand lead. So I'm going to start, instead of my right hand going first, it's going to be my left. So left, right. Let's try part B at 60 beats per minute. This might feel weird if you're right-handed, but give it a try. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's try 120 beats per minute of part A and part B. Let's do part A first, right hand lead. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now part B of the blast single strokes, left hand lead, 120 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Okay, so that's our blast singles rudiment. Let's go to our next exercise. Same as actually the last one, the blast singles, except now it's doubles. Doubles meaning 2 on the right, 2 on the left, or if you're playing left-hand lead, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Same as before, we're gonna play slow to fast, some 8th notes. Exactly the same as the last blast singles rudiment, except now doubles. So this is what it might look like. Okay, so you're just going to notice that different speed. Let's do 60 beats per minute of the doubles at part A. We're going to do 60 beats per minute on both exercises first, then we'll come back and do 120 beats per minute on each of them. Here we go. 60 beats per minute of the blast doubles rudiment at part A. Right hand lead. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. So that's right hand lead. Let's do our left hand lead now. Part B of the same exercise, blast doubles rudiment, left hand lead, 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Great. Now, let's do it again, but now a little bit faster, 120, exactly double the fast actually. Let's do part A first, right hand lead, and then we're gonna do part B, which is left hand lead. Part A, 120 beats per minute of the blast doubles rudiment. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Now let's go part B, left hand lead, 120 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, before I move on, I just want to make a note about the doubles. If you're noticing your doubles aren't sounding great, they're sounding like you're playing the first one louder. Okay, try your best to even both of those out. Really put an emphasis on the second half of it. Rather than trying to even them out so they're even volume. Okay, it's going to take a little bit of finger control to use to play your doubles correctly. Okay, so be careful. Now let's move on to our next exercise. Our fourth one is now same idea as our blast singles, our blast doubles, and now let's do a blast paradiddle. Paradiddle is right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Okay, right, left, right, left, left. Okay, that's a paradiddle. But now it's exactly the same as it was before. You're going to play 4 eighth notes and then followed by the 16th note. Okay, and then it's going to flip reverse. Bar 2 is going to be starting with the left. Okay, so notice it's going to be the same pattern as our blast singles, blast doubles, rudiments. Okay, there is no part A or part B for this one because a paradiddle is so great, and why paradiddles are really important is because it practices switching back and forth, left hand lead and right hand lead. And so you're going to notice throughout these exercises that it's going to switch kind of both of those sides, and it'll always end up back to the same thing. So let's start with 60 beats per minute of our blast paradiddles rudiment. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that's our blast paradiddle rudiment at 60 beats per minute. Let's double the speed to 120. This is a really fun rudiment, so try it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now let's move on to our next exercise, our dynamic ghost note rudiment. Remember our ghost note. Ghost notes are quiet, quiet, barely. The drumstick head is barely coming off. It's about an inch, okay? Barely touching it, but it's kind of filling in lots of the gaps. People use ghost notes a lot for drum beats and stuff, and playing lots of cool things on the snare. But this will be great. Dynamic meaning is going to change in volume. So we're going to have some accent notes and we're going to have some ghost notes. So our part A and part B, also part A is right hand lead, part B is left hand lead. Let's take this slow at 60 beats per minute first. Our pattern that we're going to play, notice the pattern, look carefully. It's going to go right accent note, and then 2 ghost notes with the left. Right, left, left. Right, left, left. Right, left, left. Accent, ghost note, okay? Right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left. Okay? Now there's those 3 notes. It's played in this pattern 5 times. And then the last one is going to be 3 of them together. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, bum, bum, bum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can also count it that way. A group of bunch of 3s and the last one 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 groups. The 5th one though is 4 notes long. Okay, so I'll play it again nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's do this at 60 beats per minute of the dynamic ghost note rudiment. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let's do part B, left hand lead. Same exercise. There's 5 of those groupings. The 5th one's 4 beats long or 4 taps long. It's now left hand lead. So left, right, right, left, right, right. Let's play it. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's double the speed and go to 120 just to demonstrate to you what it sounds and feels like. We're going to start with part A, is the right hand lead first. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now part B, left hand lead first. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so kind of a cool pattern that happens there. And actually, that's a great fill for doing some kind of cool stuff around the toms. We'll play with that one a little later on. Let's move on to our 6 exercises of our rudiments, the dynamic triplet singles rudiment. Dynamic triplet singles rudiment. Dynamic meaning changing in volume, so we're going to have those accent notes and we're going to have those ghost notes. But now they're triplets. So triplets is 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So the pattern is singles, meaning it goes right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, over and over and over again. And we can practice left hand lead as well as a different option. But this one is going to be right hand lead for this particular exercise. In each of the triplets, their first one is a accent. And the other 2 notes are ghost notes. So for each beat, where there's 3 beats, and 3 times you hit in the triplet, 1 triplet, okay? The first one is going to be an accent. And then ghost notes, left, right. So the first one is right, left, right. And then the next one, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left, right, left, okay? And then it just repeats itself. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, just repeats itself. Right, left, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Let's try it slow at 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's speed that up to 120 beats per minute. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, really make sure on that exercise you're trying to make a big dynamic, a big change from the accent to the ghost. Sometimes if we don't have a big enough of a change or dynamics, it's going to sound all the same. So this might be a bad example. where you might be accenting really hard, but the ghost notes are still very loud. You want to make sure your ghost notes, the tip of your stick, is really only coming like an inch off the drum pad, and versus your accent note can be quite a bit higher. The tip of the stick can be significantly higher. All right, let's move on to our last exercise. Our last exercise is called a flam tap rudiment. A flam is a type of rudiment that we often play. A flam is it's your both hands work together, but it's like one is played quieter and the other hand is played louder. So a flam is a pair of notes that's played on the drum, where one note is played just a little bit ahead of the first one. It gets there just before the other one, but it's played quieter. So it's going to sound like this. Okay? All right, so it's just a little bit ahead, and one note is pretty much a ghost note, and the other one's an accent. But they're not played at the same time. This is not a flam. Okay, this is a flam. All right, notice that it's kind of like a weird, I know it's a great sound effect, but that's what a flam is, and we use that a lot in drum fills and cool little aspects. So that is called a flam. Now this rudiment is called a flam tap. So you're going to do a flam and then give a tap. Okay, the tap is going to be a ghost note in this case. So let's look at part A of our flam rudiment. Part A is right hand lead. And part B is left-hand lead, just as we've done before the other ones. Part A, right-hand lead, the flam is going to be the left hand's going to be the quiet one. The right hand's going to be the big one. So left hand is actually going to tap the drum pad first. Okay? So first step, just get the flam right. All right? Now, this pattern is actually quite easy because you're going to do a flam, right hand big, and then tap the left hand again gentle. So tap, so flam with the big right hand, left tap. Okay, and that's all it is the little hand, the left hand, the little one, does two little hits. 1, 2, 1, 2. Flam, tap, flam, tap, flam, tap. Okay, a tap is gentle, right? So in this exercise, part A, it's just 4 of those over and again. All right, and we're doing it playing to 8th note time on the metronome. So let's do part A of our flam tap rudiment at 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's do part B now. Part B is going to be left hand lead. So now the flam switches. So the left hand is going to be the loud hand and the right hand is going to be the quiet hand. Okay? Okay, so we have right hand flam, left hand being the louder hand. Okay, so now the flam tap is going to be, is the loud left, tap right. So little right, tap, flam, tap. Flam, tap, okay? Left hand lead. Let's try part B of this exercise. 60 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's play that significantly faster, 120 beats per minute. Let's start with part A, right hand lead, or AKA a right hand flam. Here we go. 120. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. Let's move on to part B. Before we do that though, did you notice what my left hand did? It just kept going like this. Just going a little smaller. That's all I was doing. My left hand was constantly just doing this a little bit. Okay, let's move to part B. Just want to see if you notice the right hand this time. What does my right hand do? Have a look. Part B is left hand flam. Left hand lead. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you notice? Just small little taps of my right hand was consistently going. It's interesting when you separate what the right hand does versus the left hand. So that is all 7 exercises of the rudiment routine for the level 1 drum series. These are ones you can add to your arsenal or your inventory of all rudiments, and something you should definitely implement into your practice routine. Now, let's move on to our next lesson. Let's talk about warm-ups. And I'm going to give you some different exercises you can do to warm up at the intermediate level. See you then.